Ready for a journey into darkness? Today, we're diving deep into Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. We've got that incredible reading by Bob Tomley, so let's uncover why this poem still captivates us after all these years.
It's more than just a spooky tale, that's for sure. Poe really was a master at crafting atmosphere and emotion. We'll break down how he uses language, symbolism, the whole package to really take us into the depths of grief and despair.
Yeah, and you mentioned you've always been drawn to Poe's, well, darker side, so let's start there. We're plunged right into the poem, a bleak December night, a desolate chamber. You can practically feel the chill in the air, especially in Tomley's reading. It's like we're right there with this grieving narrator.
Exactly. Poe wants us to feel the weight of that sorrow, that isolation, right from the start. It's almost like he's setting the stage, preparing us for something significant to happen.
And then, bam, that knock at the door. But it's not a visitor, is it? It's a raven. And not just any bird. Poe makes a point of describing it as stately, even ancient. Did you notice how Bob Tomley changes his voice when the raven speaks? Gave me goosebumps.
Oh, absolutely. That was a deliberate choice by Tomley, I think, to really emphasize the symbolism of the raven. Ravens are so often connected to death, the afterlife, that deep, ominous tone. It immediately brings those ideas to mind.
So now we have this bird of ill omen perched above the door, and it utters that single word, nevermore. But it's not just a one-time thing. It's this recurring motif, almost like a haunting echo throughout the poem.
Exactly. And as the poem unfolds, that single word, nevermore, it becomes more and more significant. It's not just a simple answer anymore. It's this constant, almost taunting reminder of the speaker's loss.
Especially when he starts directing all these desperate questions at the raven, all about his lost love, Lenore. And each time, boom, nevermore. I can't even imagine how agonizing that would be. It reminds me of, how grief itself can feel sometimes, like a broken record stuck on repeat.
Wow, that's a powerful analogy. And Poe doesn't just tell us about the speaker's descent into despair. He makes us feel it through the language he uses. Think about words like darkness, fearing, ghastly, shadow. They all work together to create this inescapable atmosphere of dread.
Almost like the poem itself becomes this suffocating presence, mirroring what the speaker's going through.
Yeah, you really hit on something there. Poe masterfully blurs those lines between the physical setting and the speaker's internal world.
And speaking of that physical setting, there's this detail that adds another layer to the symbolism. The raven isn't perched just anywhere. It chooses a bust of Pallas, the goddess of wisdom.
And that's where it gets really interesting. You have this symbol of wisdom, of reason, and yet it's overshadowed by the raven, by the unknown, even the supernatural. There's a layer of irony there.
It's like Poe's saying that even when we try to rationalize things, grief, the unknown, it can all disrupt our logic.
Exactly. And notice how it connects back to the speaker's questioning of the raven. He keeps seeking logical answers, but that nevermore, it just shuts down that search every time.
Which just amplifies that trapped feeling, right? Like being haunted by something you can't escape. It's almost as if the raven itself becomes a physical manifestation of the speaker's grief.
That's a really astute observation. The fact that it won't leave, that constant presence in the chamber, it does reflect the speaker's struggle to break free from his sorrow.
But even though the raven represents something dark, there's also this strange pull, this captivation.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of Poe's writing. He draws you in with these dark, even macabre elements. Yet the language is so powerful, so captivating.
And you can't talk about the language without mentioning the sound, how he uses rhythm and rhyme. It's not just the individual words, but how he puts them together.
Exactly. Poe was a master of what we call sound devices, and he uses them brilliantly in The Raven. Remember the alliteration, that repetition of D and N sounds, especially prominent in the audio? It creates this chilling musicality, underlining the poem's dark tone.
And the internal rhyme, too. Words within the same line rhyming, napping, tapping, lost Lenore, chamber, door. It creates this hypnotic effect, like we're falling deeper into the speaker's mind.
Yes, Poe understood how powerful sound could be in creating a true experience for the reader. He used those tools masterfully.
It's like he composed a symphony of despair, each element working together to evoke a specific emotion. But beyond the language, the sound, there's this overarching sense of loneliness, of the speaker being completely alone in his grief.
That's right, and that isolation is intensified by the use of the color black, a recurring motif in the poem.
Not just the raven, but descriptions like black and lurid tarn, ebon wings. They all build on that feeling of overwhelming darkness.
Exactly. Black, especially here, it's more than a color. It embodies mourning, despair, the void left by Lenore.
It's like the speaker is drowning in that darkness, no way out.
And that leads us to a crucial question the Raven poses. Can we ever truly escape the shadows of our past?
It really makes you think, and I think it's something we've all felt at some point. Those times when the past just, it lingers.
Absolutely. And that's what makes the Raven resonate so strongly, I think. It doesn't give us easy answers. It makes us confront these emotions right alongside the speaker.
And the way Poe does it with such, I don't know, such precision, the ending, especially the part we heard in the reading, that raven, it never budges from the bust of Pallas. Just that constant reminder, nevermore.
You can almost hear the speaker's hope fading with each repetition, like he's resigned to being consumed by his grief. It's heartbreaking.
So where do we go from here? What do we take away from the Raven after this deep dive?
For me, it's the realization that grief and loss, the power of memory, they're universal experiences. And Poe captures those feelings with such haunting beauty. That's what makes this poem a timeless work of art.
It's definitely one that stays with you. And for everyone listening, if you're ready for more of Poe's dark brilliance, his short stories are a must-read. You'll find those same elements of suspense, that psychological depth that make The Raven so captivating. And if you're up for exploring other literary masterpieces, we're always game. Just let us know what depths you'd like to explore next. Until then, happy reading.